Bahel can't figure out Simon's potential besides his stamina because ordinary students kneel at the 4th exhaust. Meanwhile, Simon got hit by the 9th exhaust, but he still holds on to his spell, which makes Bahel think Simon's spirit is also strong. But a magical combat professor would like such things since they value physical and mental strength. Suddenly, Bahir sees Simon's magic circle floating, and Simon finally uses exhaust on Hector. Hector can't believe exhaust can be this heavy because he didn't feel like this during the prep session. Hector believes he cannot lose from a single spell, and as he is holding the advantage, he decides to finish Simon and uses exhaust again. Simon falls on his knees, so Bale finishes the match, announces Hector is the winner, and tells them they demonstrated a great match. Bahil ends the class, and Jane goes to him because she has some questions about the lecture. But Bahil tells her to visit his office after the classes are over, and then he'll answer any questions she might have. Bahil thinks the single final exhaust Simon cast on Hector was more valuable than the exhausts that Hector cast. According to Bahil, it was the best strike, so he thinks a genius like Simon must major in catarology, whatever it takes. After classes, Simon feels extremely tired, and he wonders why the classes are so exhausting. So a student says it's because Simon is the top special admission pick. When Simon asks what it has to do with his classes being so hard, the student replies at Kiezen. The competition is fierce not only among the students but also among the professors because professors with poor performance get fired in the middle of the semester, and there are times when the monthly salary changes. The student tells Simon that the professors who produce great results also have more influence within Kiezen, so all the professors are eager to take good students. Simon understands that professors called him out in every class to see his skills. The student says the girl named Simon's counterpart is Malin Villian, the top of class and also the top of the whole first grade class, so it's easy to figure out how good Simon is if they test him against her. Simon thinks he couldn't win against her because he barely cast one spell against Hector, and that's why all the professors were confused. Simon thanks that student for explaining all this, but when he asks what's that guy's name, the student asks how Simon could be so cold as they all introduced themselves during Professor Bahil's class and said his name is Dick Hayward. Simon apologizes that there are too many students in the class, so he forgot. When Hayward says Simon looks tired, although it's just midday, Simon replies it's because he used his stamina in Bahil's class. But Simon thinks it was fun. Hayward thinks it's weird to think that was fun and says he needs to discuss something serious with Simon. Hayward tells Simon that Hector is already forming his own clique as he impressed students in Professor Bahil's class, so now they clamor around him. Simon is not interested in all those things, but Hayward tells him to get a grip because politics is also important in Kiezen. Hayward says if the entire class falls under Hector's influence, anyone who loses his favor would fail at school life and wouldn't be able to find a team member for group assignments. For starters, Simon thinks Hayward is pretty good at understanding the political situation, so he asks why Hayward came to him, not Hector. Hayward is a commoner from a merchant family, and some nobles at Kiezen feel the need to show off their backgrounds, so he offers Simon to join his clique. Hayward believes Neftis would have brought Simon in through special admission for a reason, so he thinks Simon is hiding the talents he doesn't know yet. Simon tells Hayward that he doesn't know about cliques, but they can be friends. Hayward thinks it's an awkward word to hear at Kiezen, and it sounds cringy. However, Hayward accepts Simon's friendship and says they should head in soon because the next class is about to begin. When Hayward tells him that the next class is summonology, Simon gets excited because now he can summon creatures like his father. As they go to the class, some students make fun of Simon, saying that he is the biggest farce in the history of Kiezen. But Hayward tells Simon not to pay attention to them as they are attention seekers. Meanwhile, Simon, unaffected by the comments, is excited about the class, and Hayward thinks Simon is weird. Suddenly, the professor enters the class, but students think it seems like someone is lost and he looks too much like an ordinary guy to be a professor. Arendea tells his name to the kids and introduces himself as their summonology teacher. Aaron tells them that summonology is the root of all necromancers, and scholars wouldn't admit it, but it's hard to deny that they originated from coffin bearers, grave robbers, and necrophiliacs. The students are shocked to hear Aaron, and Aaron says they must have heard many stories about summonology that it's behind time, hard to study, and has many handicaps. When Aaron says all the prejudices they have heard are mostly true, the students get confused and think Aaron doesn't sound like a professor. Aaron believes the other classes before his would have appealed to them about how great those majors are, but he is against such pitches. Aaron thinks they should tell the students both the advantages and disadvantages so that they can make the right decision. Aaron starts with the disadvantages that summonology is costly because the materials fee for summonology might cost more than what they'll pay for the rest of the subjects combined. Aaron clears them that materials are a must for summonology because they cannot kill humans or animals when they are out of materials, so they purchase and use skeleton sets or specially treated corpses for zombies, and those products are for one-time use. The students are worried to hear Aaron saying they spend more on materials than the reward from the task, so if they are majoring in summonology, they should not consider making money. Aaron says the second disadvantage is that it's highly dependent on creatures because it involves fighting with summoned creatures, and when the creatures are destroyed, the summoner's power drastically decreases by over 80%. Aaron explains that this disadvantage is related to the first one because these days, summoners mostly use semi-permanent remodeled undead rather than disposable ones, and he tells the students to imagine what would happen if a remodeled undead is destroyed. Aaron says those summoners suffer both strategic and financial damages when they lose their creatures, and until those damages are recovered, they can only watch their peers devise tactics. The third and last disadvantage Aaron tells is that summonology is weak in the battle against priests, and to be exact, it's not suitable for modern warfare. According to Aaron, the time when summonology can realize its full potential is during an all-out war because, during a full-scale battle, summoners will get an unlimited supply of materials to summon the undead as bodies are everywhere on the battlefield. But modern warfare takes place in small-scale localized battles, and curses and spirit controllers are bound to be more popular for quick and untraceable fights. Summonology is weak against priests because a single holy spell can dismantle undead troops, which takes a lot of time and money to rebuild. Aaron says there are many disadvantages of summonology, but the students will make their final decision. Suddenly, when James asks what advantages summonology has, Aaron coldly replies he doesn't remember allowing for questions yet, so James apologizes. Aaron says the advantages include quantity, the possibility of diverse tactics, and assistance from summoned creatures. The students think Aaron is skipping over the advantages too much, and Aaron tells them it's their choice whether they take summonology in the second semester, but he tells them to bear one thing in mind: to not even dream of setting foot in this field if they don't have the guts for it. Aaron warns if they are going to cry, whine, despair, or want to consult him about changing their major after their second year because of financial reasons or whatnot, they shouldn't even think about majoring in this field with such a wimpy attitude. Aaron clarifies that if the students are thinking about majoring in summonology because it's less competitive to survive, then he'll personally expel them. After saying all this, Aaron starts the class and distributes the bones of Island Ratman among the students, which has a bone structure similar to humans but are simpler and cheaper than human skeletons. Aaron shows them the bone structure and the number and tells them to pull off the number 1 skull already assembled for them. Aaron tells them they'll see a part where they can put their hand under the skull, and inside it is a magic circle correction device. The students see the correction device, and Aaron tells them to put their hands in and form their magic circle. The students do as Aaron said, but suddenly the skulls start moving, and the students freak out. Aaron says he was going to tell them not to get startled because the undead will activate, but he was a bit late. Simon tells the skull to stay still, and as it stops, Hayward asks if Simon dealt with these things a lot, to which Simon replies he got to see them a lot. Aaron tells the students to get used to it as they are necromancers, and having activated the magic circle, the process of creating the undead is as good as complete. Aaron tells the students to make a body now and explains there are 206 bones in the human body, but an Island Ratman has 53 bones, so it's much easier. Aaron tells them to find the number 2 neck bone and connect it with the skull, so the students do as he says. Aaron explains that skeletons tend to return to their original form, so the assembly should be easy if they are done in proper sequence. Simon understands what Aaron is saying, and Aaron tells the students to move on to numbers 3 and 4 up to 11. Some students easily continue with the task, but some confuse upper back bones with lower back ones and have trouble controlling the bones. Aaron tells the students that if they get the order wrong, the bones will make a creaking noise and have trouble moving, which could result in breakdowns at a crucial moment. Hector successfully manages to assemble his undead while Aaron tells the other students to assemble up to 53 bones. Some students complete the task, but some complain that their skeletons keep running away. Meanwhile, Simon is happy to successfully create the first skeleton with his darkness, but suddenly, Hayward, in panic, asks Simon to look at his skeleton because it keeps sticking its leg bone to the arm. Simon checks that Hayward put the leg part where the arm part should go, and that's why the skeleton keeps thinking the leg is the arm.